Today's topic is one that's both chilling and thought-provoking: evil kids. We all know kids can misbehave, but what about those who cross a terrifying line? We'll be stepping into the true stories of young children who committed horrific crimes, leaving us to grapple with complexities of good and evil, nature versus nurture. But before we dive in, let's ask, what makes someone, especially a child, capable of such evil? Is it something they're born with, or is it shaped by their environment? This nature versus nurture debate is a big question in crime studies. Are some people just wired for violence? Or do bad things like abuse or poverty plays a big role? The answer is likely a mix of both. Some kids might have genes that make them more aggressive, but a tough upbringing can make things worse, pushing them towards violence and crime. The neighborhood matters too. Growing up around gangs or constant violence can make aggression seem normal, even like the only way out. Let's explore these cases further and see how these factors might have played a role. Case Study 1. Mary Bell, the Monster of the Moors. In 1968, a story out of Newcastle, England, sent shivers down people's spines. Two young boys, 4-year-old Martin Brown and 3-year-old Brian Howe, were found murdered on separate occasions on barren places. The killings were brutal, and the investigation took a shocking turn when police apprehended two suspects: 10-year-old Mary Bell and her 11-year-old friend Mara Hendley. Mary Bell's upbringing was a recipe for disaster. Born into poverty, she was constantly neglected by her alcoholic mother. There were also reports of physical and emotional abuse throughout her childhood. Psychologists believe that this traumatic environment, coupled with possibly personality disorders, significantly contributed to her violent behavior. The case of Mary Bell sparked a national outcry and a fierce debate about the juvenile delinquency. Could a child truly be considered evil? Or was she a product of a horrific upbringing? Mary and Mara Hendley were both convicted of killing due to their young age. Mary Bell was released from prison in 1980 and has lived a private life ever since. Case Study 2. The Arkansas Thrill Killers. The victims were random strangers. The most shocking part? The killers were two boys, just 11 and 13 years old at the time: Jesse Miscali and Damian Ackles. Unlike Mary Bell, these boys came from seemingly ordinary backgrounds. There weren't any obvious signs of abuse or neglect in their homes. This case highlighted the complexity of youth violence and the fact that it can occur even in seemingly stable environments. One theory that emerged focused on the potential influence of violent media. The boys were reportedly fans of heavy metal music and horror movies, and some investigators believe this exposure could have desensitized them to violence and made them see the real-life killing as a dark thrill. The murders sparked a national conversation about the impact of violent media on young minds. As we exposing our kids to too much violence online and in entertainment, this is a question we continue to grapple with today. The case also became notorious for its legal complexities. The boys, later known as the West Memphis Three, due to the involvement of a third teenager, were convicted based on shaky evidence. Years of appeals and new investigations eventually led them to their release in 2011, though they never received an official pardon. Case Study 3. Amarjit Sada. In 2006, a village in Bihar, India, was rocked by a series of horrifying crimes. The victims, 3 infants, including Amarjit Sada's own newborn sister. The accused, 8-year-old Amarjit himself. The case became a global sensation, sparking fierce debate about whether a child so young could truly be considered a killer. Amarjit's life was steeped in poverty and hardship. His family struggled financially, and reports suggested he may have witnessed his father abusing his mother. There were even rumors that his father might have been involved in the killings, though this was never proven. The age of criminal responsibility in India is 18, so Amarjit couldn't be formally charged. However, he underwent extensive psychological evaluation and rehabilitations. This case raised several disturbing questions. Can an 8-year-old truly understand the gravity of their actions? Were these acts of violence a desperate cry for help from a child living in a terrifying situation? Or was there something more sinister at play? Amarjit's story doesn't offer easy answers. It highlights the complex interplay of poverty, abuse, and mental health in youth violence. It also forces us to confront the uncomfortable question: can a child be an evil? Case Study 4. Jesse Pomeroy, the Boston boy fiend. In the late 1800s, a wave of terror grabbed Boston, Massachusetts. Young boys were being lured away, tortured, and murdered. The perpetrator, a seemingly ordinary teenager named Jesse Pomeroy, who became known as the Boston Boy Fiend. Pomeroy's crimes were particularly disturbing for their sadistic nature and randomness. He targeted boys between ages of 7 and 14, often befriending them before subjecting them to horrific acts of violence. Psychological evaluations after his capture suggested he may have suffered from a mental disorder known as sadistic personality disorder, characterized by a pleasure in inflicting pain and suffering on others. However, Pomeroy's upbringing also played a significant role. Born into a dysfunctional family, he experienced neglect and possibly even abuse. He was known for bullying smaller children and exhibiting disturbing tendencies from a young age. Jesse Pomeroy's case sparked a national debate about mental illness and criminal responsibility. Was he a monster driven by sadism, or a product of a troubled environment? Ultimately, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in solitary confinement, where he remained until his death in 1932. Case Study 5. The Adlington Brothers. In 1968, a small town in South Yorkshire, England, was shaken by a brutal act of violence. Two young boys, 9-year-old John West and 11-year-old Leslie Agger, were abducted and tortured by two brothers, 10-year-old Brendan Adlington and 11-year-old David Adlington. The crime sent shock waves through the community, raising questions about what could drive such young children to commit such horrific acts. Unlike some of the previous cases we have explored, the Adlington brothers' background weren't marked by extreme poverty or obvious abuse. However, their home life wasn't ideal. Their father was a strict disciplinarian. There were reports of a tense family atmosphere. Additionally, the brothers were known for bullying younger children and exhibiting cruelty towards animals. The investigation revealed a disturbing fascination with violence, fueled by horror comics and violent movies the boys were exposed to. This, coupled with a lack of positive guidance and a troubled family dynamic, might have contributed to their actions. The Adlington brothers were eventually apprehended and tried for their crimes. Due to their young age, they weren't sentenced as adults, but were committed to a secure mental health facility. There, they received extensive therapy and rehabilitation. The Adlington brothers' story offers a glimpse of hope. Unlike some of the other cases we have discussed, it suggests the possibility of redemption even after a horrific crime. Reports indicate that both brothers expressed deep remorse for their actions and went on to live productive lives after their release. The cases we have discussed raise many questions. What are your thoughts on the youth violence? What can we do as a society to prevent these tragedies and help troubled kids? Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the complexities of youth violence. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest uploads. We'll see you next time.